Chad, did you get arrested today and then go shoot 66 at the PGA Championship?
I did neither of those things. I was not arrested, thankfully, and I wish I would have shot 66 to PGA Championship.
Man, well, Scottie Scheffler did just that. 67 yesterday.
Couple bucket list items for Scottie Scheffler, crossing them off the list.
Today, and what a crazy story that started with the tragic incident that took place. A man was hit by a shuttle bus that was working at the course around 5:10 a.m. in Louisville, and that shut down the road both ways into Gate 1 at Valhalla, to the point where Will Zalatoris and Cameron Young, they just ditched their cars, their PGA Tour issued vehicle, and just walked on the side of the street and got in to get ready for their round. Scottie Scheffler trying to do the same thing, arriving around 6 a.m., and that's when the craziness started. Police on the scene of that traffic fatality, and here's Scheffler arrested based on 4 different counts of, second-degree assault of an officer, which we'll get to, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding traffic signals from an officer. Chad, he starts his morning with this mugshot after he was trying to continue driving into the course, into the club, and an officer, Detective Brian Gillis, on the scene, had him stop. Didn't know who he was. And Jeff Darlington was there on behalf of ESPN, had his phone, had his camera rolling, and Scheffler's looking back going, hey, can you help me out here? To Darlington. Can you help me out here? Can you tell him that I'm actually a player? And according to the different reports, there's another group of security that's motioning him in, officers and people that are working, saying, yeah, come on in, Scotty. And there's this officer and detective saying, no, you can't. And he attaches himself to the vehicle, and charges come from that, including some pants and the
$80
$80
value
pants,
for the pants that were damaged.
Chad, here's the mugshot again of Scottie Scheffler, which adds to the brand. Boring no more, Scottie Scheffler. Craziness, man.
Well, the T-shirts with Scottie Scheffler's face on it, already a top seller, hot ticket item. And
this is wild.
It's crazy to wake up to the news that Scottie Scheffler is arrested. Scottie Scheffler is the last person on the PGA Tour I would ever think to see a negative headline about getting arrested. So the story was crazy to begin with. Then you turn on the television, and I'm watching it this morning unfold, and I'm seeing the replays of him in handcuffs and his shorts getting walked to a cop car.
Yes.
And then you see the videos of him walking out onto the course to get a quick practice in.
30 minutes prior to his round.
I mean, it's just crazy, the turn of events to wake up and see the headline. That's shocking to begin with. But then follow it throughout like you're watching court TV take place in real time. And then he's out there on the course for a 10:08 Eastern time, tee time. Crazy morning.
He was. This all took place around 6 a.m.
I don't think I'll be forgetting this anytime soon about Scottie Scheffler.
No, he's released by around 8:50 or 9 a.m., and you're right, the round begins at like 10:08, where he gets back to the course, rolling up in the Range Rover with one of his trainers and a couple of other people that were with the tour or the PGA Championship, and gets a quick little practice round in, and he's back in. Here is Darlington's video of what he was able to obtain, because it was crazy. He's going up asking what's going on. An officer, someone else comes up and believes that Darlington's a part of Scheffler's crew, a part of his staff, and doesn't know that he is actually media covering the event.
Guys.
Dude, step back. Back up, or
I'm
you
back.
I'm back. Step back.
I'm back.
You're game 1, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Guys.
What do we tell you?
I'm staying back.
Here's the thing. Right now, he's going to jail.
Okay.
Okay. He's going to jail, and it ain't nothing you can do about it. Period. There's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do you have
First,
a question?
I'm media. I'm a reporter. Okay. So that's all.
That's fine.
I just want to make sure that's
okay.
known.
But you need to step
No
back
problem,
over here now.
No problem. You got it.
Okay.
Okay.
He looks like it's like a college kid just getting walked off after maybe getting in a fight at a bar.
Yeah, it looked like
in
a Panama
Athens,
City
Georgia.
Beach
Yeah,
perp walk.
It did.
Just with the whole outfit and everything else.
No, he's in a vehicle that has the PGA Championship official player pass on it. And for whatever reason, this officer did not recognize that, attaches himself to the vehicle, ends up getting a couple of bangs and bruises, and his pants are ripped and beyond repair. And here we are with charges filed. He's arrested. He's released. He releases this statement after the mugshot comes out. This morning, I was proceeding as directed by police officers. It was a very chaotic situation, understandably so, considering the tragic accident that occurred earlier. There was a big misunderstanding of what I thought I was being asked to do. I never intended to disregard any of the instructions. I'm hopeful to put this to the side and focus on golf today. Of course, all of us involved in the tournament express our deepest sympathies to the family of the man who passed away in the earlier accident this morning. It truly puts everything in perspective. It's hard not to like Scottie Scheffler, unless you're competing against him.
And just talking about, we don't know all the details that went into this. Now, you can't just mistake a cop for a security guard and just blow through a traffic stop when they've stopped everything for a wreck that happened, right? Or a fatality that happened earlier in the day. So part of me wants to say, did Scottie not understand that the blue lights were cops and he just went through it? But what he is saying here and what has been inferred is that someone was telling him to go.
Someone ahead.
And someone was stopping.
And it was a slow pace.
And as he went, someone jumped on his car, right?
Right.
So that was the miscommunication.
The detective who suffered some abrasions and his pants ripped and torn, that's who was attaching himself to the car. So this is directly from ESPN's Jeff Darlington and his account of what he saw. Scheffler tried to enter the property after a confusing and chaotic exchange, continuing to drive at a slow pace past the officer and towards the golf course. And the officer, quote, attempted to attach himself to Scheffler's car, at which point Scheffler stopped at the entrance and began following the officer's instructions to exit the vehicle. As he was complying, Scheffler was reportedly pulled out of the vehicle, quote unquote, shoved. This is from Darlington, shoved against the vehicle, handcuffed and detained. And that's whenever Darlington starts following what we just witnessed.
It sounds like that cop was having a hell of a bad morning.
Yes.
It sounds like someone was pissed off to be standing in the rain in the morning and was ready for the first person to mess with them, and they were going to go to jail and get arrested that day. Again, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. And then, that's my first account of what I think likely happened here. And then that he was ready to do something to someone, and then this happened. But we don't know all the details to it.
So in the police report,
I don't know what Scottie Scheffler was saying to him. I don't know what the conversation was like.
Right.
I just listened to everything from Scottie Scheffler in any interview he's ever done and his entire reputation. And I will say that it's very difficult for me to believe that Scottie Scheffler is just MFing the cop or going nuts on him and pulling the "Do you know who I am" card and getting threatening with someone. I don't think that would be the case.
Darlington said that he was complying, right? That he uses that. And in the actual arrest report, it says that he refused to comply with Detective Gillis's instruction, leading Scheffler to continue to move his vehicle forward, allegedly dragging the officer to the ground. But again, what was going on ahead of him versus what the officer was saying, that's really where the confusing part starts. But the whole thing is bizarre. And here's the attorney for Scheffler in a statement and going through the details. Due to the combination of the event traffic and the traffic fatality in the area, it was a very chaotic situation. I think we can certainly understand that. And he goes on to say, in the confusion, Scottie is alleged to have disregarded a different officer's traffic signals, resulting in these charges. And he, the attorney mentions, hey, he's in a vehicle that is marked. It's visible. His credentials are visible. Multiple eyewitnesses have confirmed that he did not do anything wrong, but was simply proceeding as directed. He stopped immediately upon being directed to, and never at any point assaulted any officer with his vehicle. We will litigate this matter as needed. He will be completely exonerated. Now, he was released a couple of hours after he entered the jail. And, I mean, the assault, it's a Class C felony.
Yeah, I saw there's one felony charge.
And that's the
assault with his vehicle.
Second-degree assault of an officer is what leads to that. And the assault, here's Detective Gillis's pants, which have certainly become famous and memes everywhere. So he stopped, he gave instruction, refused to comply, accelerated forward. So here's Detective Gillis. He suffered pain, swelling, and abrasions to his left wrist and knees. I would expect that, too, if you attach yourself to a moving vehicle. He was transported to the hospital for further medical treatment by emergency medical personnel, and his uniform pants, valued at approximately $80, were damaged beyond repair. That also listed there. $80, damaged beyond repair.
I'm having a really hard time imagining a world where the Louisville Police Department does not drop charges very quickly on this.
Yeah.
I mean, if they try to stick with this and continue to charge him with a felony, I don't see that being the case. Now, I don't know how Scottie Scheffler's legal team is going to handle this. I would assume that if they clear this up with his lawyers and they drop all charges, then it'll be kind of a no harm, no foul, move about your day. That's not to say that if you want to be litigious, you couldn't sue the police department if you were Scottie Scheffler and the legal team, if there was something that happened really wrong in all of this, right? Doesn't mean you're going to win, but you could try to get a settlement. There's a lot of different ways this thing could break now. But Hutton, I'm just hearing every account from Jeff Darlington to Scottie Scheffler's attorney to eyewitness reports, everything else. I have a hard time believing that charges won't be dropped quickly. And knowing Scottie Scheffler, I doubt he'll pursue a lawsuit or anything like that. I think that they'll probably just accept an apology and move on.
I mean, he returned to the course and shot one shot better.
Now, the other thing is maybe the DA tries to prosecute here and they continue on with charges.
It doesn't sound like that, though.
I wouldn't think so.
Based on how he was treated at the jail. He had the presser right after his round earlier today where he said that the officers at the jail were joking around with him. That while he's being fingerprinted, he's being asked if he wants the full jail treatment as like a jab or a joke, and he's kind of looking at him like, what? You know, because I'm thinking like you want to bend over and cough type of thing.
Yeah.
And
don't drop the soap type stuff.
They end up going and having a breakfast sandwich together in there. They're cracking jokes. And here is Scheffler explaining and describing what he had to do at the jail to get ready for today's round.
How do you encapsulate everything that happened to you today?
I don't really know. I feel like my head's still spinning. I can't really explain what happened this morning. I did spend some time stretching in a jail cell. That was a first for me. You know, that was part of my warm-up. I was just sitting there waiting, and, you know, I started going through my warm-up. I felt like there was a chance I may be able to still come out here and play, and so I started going through my routine. I tried to get my heart rate down as much as I could today, but like I said, you know, I still feel like my head's spinning a little bit. But, yeah, I was fortunate to be able to make it back out and play some golf today.
How about that? Stretching in the jail cell, then fortunate to go play some golf. I mean, he's in third right now. He's up 9 spots. Tied for third currently.
It's incredible. Another quote that I love from Scottie Scheffler after that was, quote, "The officers at the jail were tremendous." That was his recap of his visit to jail. That would be pretty funny, though, if you're, you know, just working at the police headquarters that day and Scottie Scheffler comes in for something you know is probably bogus and you're just joking around with the world's #1 golfer.
Yes.
Masters champion, just won the Masters, won 4 out of 5 tournaments, and he's at your police headquarters. That would be rather humorous. Well, Scottie Scheffler did not hold back laughter just recounting some of it because of how surreal that entire experience has been for him, and thinking you wake up in the morning, you're going there early to get your practice routine done before you're playing in the second round of a major championship.
Yeah.
And then you end up in jail.
And you're out of your routine.
For reasons you don't really understand.
You know, the process, he's getting there at 6 a.m. for a 10:08 tee time. and then he shows back up after all this, where he admitted at the presser he's shaking, he was in fear, he was worried about the whole situation, of course, but his heart rate was still really high throughout the round, and yet he goes and shoots 5 under today.
Yeah.
And
insane.
That's how good the number one player in the world is.
I will say also, I have been in situations with police stops where there's a wreck or something, where I might be looking at someone that's given me instruction to do something, and I start to do it, and the cop next to me will hit your vehicle to stop you from doing it, and it's because there's no communication between the two. It's a total honest mistake, right, from the police officers at times.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know he was telling you to go ahead, and I'm trying to make sure you're safe and not running into me or someone else, and I'm looking somewhere else. Just miscommunication. And that's what Scottie Scheffler is claiming here. Not to say that I know that's exactly what happened, but I will say I can empathize as someone who has gotten one instruction from one person ahead on doing something or turning around and starting to do it, and then feeling someone hit my vehicle, and it's another cop saying, stop, don't move, don't do this right now.
And you have two different branches on the law enforcement tree here, right? You've got one directing traffic, which is probably some of those involved with whatever, motioning forward because they can see the visible credentials. And then you have a detective there because someone died in this traffic accident while crossing the street with a shuttle that hit this man. And he's doing his end of things, right? And those two collided. And, I mean, the fact that everyone's kind of laughing about, you have the governor and the mayor of Louisville releasing statements, too. I'm just pulling this up about this from, let me make sure, this is from the governor. The events that occurred afterwards, speaking of the tragic accident and the death, the events that occurred afterward are an unfortunate result of this tragic incident, and we are hopeful that all parties involved can come to a resolution. That's from the governor. So come to a resolution is what happened here. And now,
by the way, we've all been in a suite or a roped off area at some point, or the club level of something, and gone and done something and tried to get back, and there's a different
person,
security guard that is stopping you, and you're trying to explain to that security guard,
example.
I was just right here, and they're not going to hear, I'm sorry, you're not on this list, you don't have this wristband, you can't come back here, and you're trying to plead with them, I was just in there, you can ask anyone behind you, and finally the other security guard comes over and waves in and says, oh yeah, he's good, this guy, Jonathan Hutton's good, he can come in. This sounds like it could be that type of miscommunication.
And you also,
one person saying, go ahead, you're a player, you can go through that area. He's told by a cop behind him to do it. The cop in front tries to stop. He doesn't see that cop. Cop jumps on the car, whatever happens. I can see this just being breaking off the chain of command / communication where one person got a memo, the other person didn't, and then it led to a big misunderstanding and someone in handcuffs.
So a couple of things. You mentioned
or maybe Scottie Scheffler just said, hey, do you know who I am?
Well,
and he got into it with the cop.
He looked at Darlington and said that. He's like, can you help me here? Can you confirm I am?
Can you tell them I'm world number one, Scottie Scheffler?
Yeah, but see, the golfers are used to just pulling up with the credential everywhere. They've got a PGA Championship issued vehicle. And
they have a big P on the vehicle.
Yeah.
In the dashboard, there's a huge P, and it says they have logos on the vehicles.
And if you're
that
used to
denotes
just
their players
bypassing everything and getting into the club with that everywhere you go, that's the routine.
Yeah.
And then you have the other side of law enforcement that's there with doing his routine. But I don't understand why the routine included attaching yourself to a moving vehicle. That
seems extreme.
Is that Bond where you're crawling in to put it in park? What are you doing?
It's pretty impressive that Jason Bourne is in the Louisville Police Department.
Are you surfing the roof of the Range Rover?
Again, it all seems extreme.
What's going on?
Unless Scottie Scheffler was about to drive over the crime scene or something that you could not break the integrity of the area. I don't understand why anyone
would have been listed for sure.
Would go Spider-Man on his vehicle.
Oh, Detective Brian Gillis. 5 facts you need to know. I want to go through this.
Oh, goodness.
This is just about the report, not about him.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's directing traffic. That's another part of the traffic signals from an officer who's disregarding those.
And I hope that if it's an honest mistake, I mean, it seems way extreme from the cop in this situation, but I hope if it's just an honest mistake that,
how about this? So,
this guy isn't ruined because of it either.
Brian Gillis, the detective, has been with the Louisville Police Department since 2007. He also owns a collision investigation company in Louisville. He previously worked with the New Orleans Police Department. There you go. Collision Investigation Services, LLC. On his LinkedIn page, they found this. They
think people are flooding his...
He's a vehicle crash expert, which is why he's there, right? But then he's asked to direct traffic. Again, I can understand the chaotic nature of this. Everything collided today right in front of Valhalla.
Was he the guy that was talking to Jeff Darlington, or was that just a separate cop?
I think that was a separate guy.
Said he's going to jail.
No, that was a separate guy.
Okay.
Brian Gillis received a governor's award for impaired driving enforcement, and he was also a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army. So, I mean, he's going to be the butt of jokes here, but I think he's legit. He once investigated a case of two men who were T-boned while on a golf cart.
They got the right man for the job.
They did.
What I'm hearing is this guy has all the prerequisites to do a bang-up job in this investigation.
The golf cart was T-boned by a 2006 Ford Mustang, Jeff.
Okay.
And an ESPN, so Darlington accused Brian Gillis of grabbing Scottie Scheffler's arm. I mean, if you're trying to get him to stop, you would do that, right?
So that's when, and then he went 20 yards?
Roughly.
Mark Harris's story at OutKick I read, and it said that he went 20 yards holding on to his arm?
It was 10 yards, and then traveled another 10 yards before stopping the car. So at a combined 20 yards, yes.
Was he just getting drugged the whole time?
As the officer pulled Scheffler out of the car, he pushed him up against the car, immediately placed him in handcuffs. Yeah. Nuts, man. Detained in the police vehicle for 20 minutes. The branding of the brand of Scottie Scheffler. Chad, right after the Masters, we're discussing all of Scottie Scheffler's brand, right? And it's how much do we know about him versus is he boring?
How much do people care about his dominance?
Yeah, I mean, he is great. But do you really care because, well, he's almost too nice. He comes across as such a good dude. He's attached to this now, and it's almost just kind of a tongue-in-cheek, laugher, which that's my reaction right now, including on social media, which was perfect today. Who did this was one of them. You've got the O.J. Scheffler with the golf cart leading the police.
Tom Luganville, our buddy, posted this.
Yes, a wonderful job there. The mugshot shirts on the course today, within hours, already printing those. You think these guys just bought these off the street? Do you think they printed them at work and just walked down?
I think they probably own a T-shirt company or have access to one and printed those off quickly.
Yes.
Would be my guess. OutKick should start selling these shirts, by the way.
Yes.
Just to give a little idea out there to whoever's watching. This is a shirt that I would sell. This is a shirt I would buy and wear on the show if it was available in a high-quality T-shirt.
And
it's funny.
I would say it's hilarious. And so is Scooter McGavin up here. Christopher McDonald, the actor's name.
Shooter McGavin.
Shooter. I can't read my handwriting. You've got Christopher McDonald, who was arrested in 2017. Here's his mugshot, too, next to Tiger.
He kind of looks like the Joker.
Yes, he does.
With that face.
Yeah, Shooter McGavin, who he says, "Welcome to the club, Scotty." And Shooter is showing his own mugshot, McDonald's mugshot from 2007, where he crashed his Porsche after a big day out at Oktoberfest in Los Angeles. And he told the officers that, you said, "Don't you know who I am?" He did that.
Amazing.
To a point where he pissed off LAPD.
I am Shooter McGavin. Let me through.
Have you ever seen Happy Gilmore?
Do you think there's a chance that Adam Sandler saw this news
John
story
Daly,
today?
By the way.
That Adam Sandler saw this news story today and had to X out the part in Happy Gilmore 2 about Happy getting arrested the day of a major event because it now seems to like he's stealing from this? That's how surreal this whole thing is. It seems like a plot line in Happy Gilmore 2.
Yes, it does. Keep this up. Keep this image up. The only sober man on this screen
is Scottie Scheffler.
Went out and shot a 66 about an hour and a half, teed off about an hour and a half after he was released from jail without bail.
The only thing Scottie Scheffler is intoxicated on is whole milk. in this
Whole
photo.
milk. Yeah, you think he had like eggs and sausage or?
He had eggs. Who was it?
Well, he
I
had
think,
a breakfast sandwich. You said at jail.
Yeah, I'm forgetting. I was following a golf reporter, and they reported on what he said. He walked into the clubhouse and said, "How's everybody doing today?" Really loud, and he sat down and ate a bunch of eggs. That was his breakfast. Then he went out on the practice course immediately. They said, "I cannot believe I'm reporting this today."
So the flip side of this, what do we think Detective Brian Gillis is doing right now? Here he is. Here's the detective.
Oh man.
And what do we think he's doing right now? Because we know Scheffler's had his presser, and he's been very.
This is a really unfortunate photo too, because it just looks like he's pissed off in this photo.
He looks like the
he
principal
looks like
in high school
someone that's going to pull you out of a car.
Yes.
For no reason, just with the look on the face right there, the body posture as he's moving forward. It looks like someone very easily irritated.
Yes,
I would say about this gentleman.
If you're roping off,
it's unfortunate.
If you're roping off an area, he wants it very straight, perfect angles, all of that. Attention to detail.
It's just unfortunate because I'm sure there's a photo of this officer where he's happy. If we had that photo, then maybe I would think differently about the situation.
And Chad, finally, the reporting by Jeff Darlington was excellent.
Yeah.
Talk about being there and making sure you covered everything. He was there on the spot live as it's taking place. He's a part of the story when Scheffler's looking at him saying, can you help me? I mean, just as he's walked.
Jeff, can you tell them who I am, please?
Yeah, as he
did a great job.
He's dragged out of his car.
Is this just Johnny on the spot, right place, right time?
No, he was there. I think that just with the accident that's taking place and then
or was he? My point is, was he like in traffic, or had just parked and just happened to see all this happen, or was he in the clubhouse doing something?
No,
got word that something was going on.
No, because he saw everything take place, so he wasn't in the clubhouse, and he's there reporting on the PGA Championship for ESPN. They sent him there, so he was there.
So he just got lucky that he happened to be parking right there when all this is happening.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
Yeah,
or he's out there covering the wreck. That's not the wreck,
right,
but the fatality.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because the tournament was delayed by like an hour and 20 minutes because of this.
I mean, you don't want to see very unfortunate with the person who died, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
You don't want to see any of that. And you don't want to see a tour player get arrested. But if you're Jeff Darlington in a reporter's world, you're out there covering one thing that happened, and you look to your left and you see the number one player in the world getting into it with an officer and eventually getting handcuffed.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, boy, what did I do right today to get this story and get my phone out and video it where no one else is around and no one's seeing what's happening? So I say right place, right time, lucky a bit with Jeff Darlington, but also smart, good reporter of Jeff Darlington to start to cover that thing right away and get that video of what was happening.
Let me just piecing everything together. It's clear that anyone there to investigate and be on the scene for this fatality, they had no idea about these credentials, because Darlington's not going to just walk randomly into that without a credential, but they're looking at him and talking to him like he's with Scheffler, just trying to get Scheffler away, right?
Yep.
And then he says, I'm with the media. And they clearly didn't see the credentials and the pass for Scheffler either. Yeah. Nuts, man.
What a morning.
Then you have someone that's trying to sober up and probably adjacent or in the same cell with in the holding area with Scheffler.
Hey, you're Scottie Scheffler, man.
What'd you do, man? Did you get caught, selling drugs last night at the bar? No, I'm trying to tee off at the PGA Championship. I shot 67 yesterday. I'm out of my routine now. I need to stretch. He's stretching while everyone else is trying to sober up.
It is funny to think about Scottie Scheffler doing some quad stretches next to a meth head.
Yes.
In jail.
Yes.
Just that whole visual is really funny. Someone in the corner of the jail just fidgeting and shaking, and you got just calisthenic Scottie over there doing his thing.
Some dude's going through withdrawal, and you've got
getting the lumbar region loosened up the whole time.
Then you have the officers joking with Scheffler about, hey man, you want the full experience? Let's go get a breakfast sandwich.
Yeah. Well, every movie or TV show that depicts jail always has like the one scary guy who's schizophrenic, who's talking to himself.
Yeah.
When they like roll people through the jail.
Yes.
So I pictured that guy in the corner yelling at himself while Scottie Scheffler's trying to stretch.
I think that could be accurate. I do. In just a moment, I'm going to look up the leaderboard because you've got Xander Schauffele, who shot 62 again.
Our guy, Ned Michaels, threw out Colin Morikawa as one to watch.
Did.
And I put a little bet on Morikawa before the tournament, and my cash-out option's already pretty good. He was in the lead last I checked, but I know Xander Schauffele just was on the course.
So
last time I checked, and he was one shot behind him.
And he still is. He's 1 under today, Schauffele is. Today, Colin Morikawa, 6 under for his round. He's the leader currently, the leader at 11 under for the tournament. And there's Scottie Scheffler right behind Schauffele at 9 under, tied with 2 others, Thomas Dietrich and Mark Hubbard, who is down 1 stroke, 3 under today. Everyone finished with their round except for Schauffele. Shot 62 yesterday, and he's through 6 holes at 1 under now. Who else did he mention?
He mentioned
Morikawa.
Tigala, also,
Yes,
who was
yes.
doing well. It was another guy close to the top of the leaderboard, Rory McIlroy.
Who is 6 under for the tournament now.
What is it? Oberg is what we're calling him now. Oberg was another one he mentioned. Remember, he said just pick a random European.
Random European.
And I said I'd like to just pick a random European to bet on that, see what the odds are. That just any random European, doesn't have to be one, just random European wins the tournament. I couldn't get odds on that one.
Chad, what are the odds that Caitlin Clark is just average for her rookie season in the WNBA?
So here's what's happening right now in the WNBA, okay? Because I fashioned myself a WNBA expert having watched, one
game and a
game.
half.
Yeah, I didn't even watch a half a game
Okay,
last night.
okay.
I just followed it on. I bet on it.
That one game felt like a game and a half.
I bet that Caitlin Clark would score more than 25 points in her home debut. She scored the first points of the game for the Indiana Fever and then scored 7 more the rest of the entire game and had 9 for the game. And the Fever got blown out at home by the New York Liberty. I love the competitive fire of the WNBA and their players, that they want to destroy Caitlin Clark, that they are motivated to show this girl who just came in the league, hey, this is the pros. You're going to get thrown around a little bit. You're not going to do well. But in doing this, they're actually defeating their own league. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be doing that. That's what a competitor should do. But the more mortal that Caitlin Clark looks, the more average she looks. It's 2 games, granted, but 2 games in, she looks very, very average to below. In the WNBA, the worse it is for the league. Because a lot of people who tuned in just to watch Caitlin Clark, they will tune out fast when she's not a factor in the league. So it's a very odd catch-22 with the league right now that, yes, the players want to put Caitlin Clark in her place. Here's this girl who came into the league with all the fanfare, all the money, all the endorsements. She hasn't arrived yet. We're about to show her she hasn't arrived yet. That's the mentality a competitor should take. But in taking that mentality and actually executing it and making Caitlin Clark look like she's not that great of a WNBA player, it's hurting the product. It's hurting the league. It's hurting interest in the league. It's hurting my interest in the league.
Yeah, the other thing...
And I'm not saying they should give her a pass or anything like that. I want her to do well, and I think that'll help the WNBA. This start has not helped anything. By the way, she broke the all-time record for turnovers in a debut game in Game 1 with 10 turnovers.
Did she really? I didn't know 10 was the
all-time
record in a debut game.
In her first game, yep.
Who won the game last night?
The New York Liberty.
Okay. So they're 0-2.
Brianna Stewart is the reigning MVP.
Okay.
I learned that also.
Watching a bit of that first game, Chad, I'm thinking, okay, I'm watching simply because of Caitlin Clark, who's not doing much, to your point. But I'm also missing the key element of the controversy, the rivalry, the good. You've got the baby face versus the heel, so to speak, in professional wrestling. You had Caitlin Clark, and then you had all the storyline of LSU, right? They need that element too. And then you have to combine that, to me, with the postseason. Because that's when things really amp up. You have to have that type of run. And in the WNBA, you get the series instead of the one-off. That's where they can crank it up. But, I guess I should have expected that the pros would lock down defensively on her a lot better. I'm watching her bomb threes like Steph Curry. I wasn't expecting this. Just kind of a very blah, vanilla opening through 2 games. It's 2 games.
Yeah, where's this defense in the NBA? This level of defensive intensity.
Yes.
Because I just assumed Caitlin Clark and the way she's sort of free-flowing, shooting from everywhere, driving to the basket, spreading things out. I'm like, well, this will work in a professional basketball league. Because when I watch the NBA, that's all it is. It's a lot of spread out, one-on-one, and then it's a lot of room to operate. That's not the case so far.
And
they're not giving her an inch to operate so far in the game when I've been watching her play.
She says that the physicality of the league is something she still has to get used to before she can actually have her big performances.
Yeah.
So if you're plus she's even admitted the game is much faster, which again, I haven't paid attention to that element of the WNBA until now when you're expecting this same type of performance that we saw for the last 2 years to show up in game 1.
Yeah.
Who I'm assuming is the worst team from last year. In the lottery, they may not be, but
they have Aaliyah Boston, who I remember from South Carolina, who's their big, and I believe they drafted her like 1st or 2nd overall a year ago. So they've had back-to-back top picks, and that's the core of their team. From what I've seen so far, the rest of the Indiana Fever, not great.
Now, let me also say,
not great at all.
I'm not a fan of the media rushing to her defense immediately, as if, okay, so where were these headlines prior to the season starting? This is a headline at USA Today. Caitlin Clark isn't instantly dominating. That's not surprising she wasn't going to. I'm sorry. That was all the talk, was her dominance. So now it's the rush to defend, to keep the craze going. ESPN immediately after game 1. Well, this is going to take time. This is just 1 game. She's going to get back. And she will. But the immediate defense, instead of, Chad, like you're saying, maybe it's just very average play, and that's not great right now.
I think it's hilarious how many people act like they know a lot about the WNBA.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, I bet I can count on 2 hands the amount of actual media members that are experts in the WNBA. There's not many of them, and I don't follow any of them on social media, I'm guessing. So I'm saying this, I'm putting my own ignorance of the league out there. I assumed that there was going to be a lot more offense in the league and that she would be just fine offensively and would probably struggle defensively with the physicality of the game. That's not been the case. She's looked below average so far in the WNBA. But the amount of media members that suddenly act like they're WNBA experts, like, oh, I knew when you get into the physicality of the Connecticut Sun and the New York Liberty that these first 2 games, worst first 2 games for a WNBA rookie. I'm thinking, give me a break.
Now,
how many people actually know? I listened to Rebecca Lobo call the game the other night, and I'm not sure Rebecca Lobo knows that much about the WNBA or cares, quite frankly. I think she spent a lot more time watching women's college basketball the way we all watch women's college basketball more than the WNBA and know more about it.
That game actually did miss Big Game Beth Mowens.
That
broadcast. Chad,
the speed of this league, and I'm just thinking,
what Caitlin Clark is saying
know.
that. But Caitlin Clark is saying that.
I'm sure the players could have told her that.
Lindsay Schnell, one of the writers at USA Today, she is a massive women's basketball fan. Okay, so here's what she asked in her column.
Does she cover the league for ESPN?
She's with USA Today.
Okay, that's fine. She's one of the on the 2 hands. But she's one of the reporters I'm talking about.
Here's what she's asking, as if this was the sentiment going in, and I didn't hear this. 3 questions that she's asking. I think one of them is an obvious yes. Chad, you tell me which one you would answer yes to. What? Did you think Clark was going to walk into this league and dominate from day 1? Lift the Fever to WNBA title contention immediately? Rewrite the professional record books all because she was a college superstar? Maybe not rewrite the record books immediately. Maybe not lift her team to WNBA title contention. But the first question, did I think Clark was going to walk into this league and dominate from day 1? Yes. Yes. I did. We all did. Did we not?
I thought she was going to come in and be a great scorer. Like I don't.
That would be dominant.
Dominate the league.
In all due respect,
I didn't think she was going to come in and be the best player in the WNBA, but I did think she was going to come in and immediately be a dynamic scorer.
She was going to be the best player because she would be lifted to that. With all due respect, we know Livy Dunn because of NIL, because of her social media presence.
She's apparently a good gymnast too, but I don't
good,
know.
but not dominant. right? Like not dominant.
I don't know. Did LSU win the national title?
Well,
I think they were close to it.
The fact that we don't know tells me that she's not dominant.
And I'll raise my hand and say I couldn't tell you a dominant gymnast right now if I saw one. If there was a gymnast performing in front of me, I wouldn't be able to tell you if she was dominant or not.
You could tell me if it was Livy Dunn that was dominant. We would know who was dominant. My point is, yes, everyone expected her to come in and dominate. And to your point, overall, if it's a flat, just overall performance, this is when you've got to grab these. We're a month and a half removed from 14 million people tuning in to see her.
Yeah.
What were I wonder what the ratings were last night. Have we seen those?
Well, she had 2.3 million watch the debut on ESPN2 because it was right at half, and I think it was like 4.7 for Knicks Pacers that night.
Which is really intriguing because she didn't score until the second quarter.
Yeah, and last night she scored the first bucket of the game and then didn't score again the rest of the half, and finished with 9.
Yeah, and the game is going to be. They're in they've got the media rights stuff that they're discussing. Maybe it's going to be with Turner, with TNT and Time Warner, which we'll get to with
the WNBA.
Yeah, the talk is that TNT could.
So we could watch Charles Barkley on inside the WNBA.
Wow,
is that a show we're tuning into?
Shaq and Kenny and
Chuck. Look, if you want a challenge, Charles Barkley took the challenge of trying to do news media on CNN. Did not work out well for him. That show got canceled quickly. But Chuck, I'm issuing you a really strong challenge. Make me care about the WNBA with an Inside the WNBA show. If you can make your takes and your analysis of the WNBA exciting, then I'm all in.
Lindsay Schnell is
King
asking,
of all media.
Did I expect her to come in and dominate? Excuse me for wanting the person that is being sold as better than Pistol Pete Maravich to come in and dominate the WNBA, the all-time leading scorer in basketball. Yes, I expected that. So, it's okay and it's fair to say it's been flat and that we didn't expect it, because I absolutely did not expect this. I didn't think it would take. Can you imagine what Vegas would have made if there'd been an over-under on when she would score her first basket?
Well, I saw someone post something about, if you thought Caitlin Clark was going to come in and light up this league, you haven't been paying attention. To which I say, of course we haven't been paying attention. No one has.
Thank you.
And that's exactly why we're watching Caitlin Clark, is to try to generate interest in the league. So I don't consider that
really
a diss because you're just stating the obvious. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. Sorry, I didn't know the intricacies of the WNBA and the physicality of the league because I haven't been watching. And you know what the numbers show? I'm not alone in not watching the WNBA. And I'm also not alone now in watching Caitlin Clark. Her college numbers show that. Game 1 of the WNBA shows that. And if she continues to be a non-factor, the numbers on the other side will show it because it's going to go down, 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 and no one's going to watch.
Right. I just want to read two graphs from his column.
It's a self-defeating prophecy if they dominate Caitlin Clark in these games and out of this league. It's a very odd situation for the league and her to be in.
You're right. Let me finish by
And it's
this.
a lot of pressure on her.
Many of you are new here. This is Lindsay Schnell. Many of you are new here.
Hell, Hutton is reading Lindsay Schnell's column. Everyone's new to this.
Let me be the first to say we are thrilled to have you. It's the game I've worshipped for almost 3 decades. It occurs to me, as fans flood arenas to watch Clark, this has become what educators everywhere would call a teachable moment, so let's get learning.
Okay.
The single most important reality to understand, the WNBA is full of grown women who are no strangers to college superstars. Okay. This is the all-time leading scorer.
Well, I would think most of them were college stars in and of themselves, but yeah, okay.
And they're not in awe of Caitlin Clark, as she goes on to say. Okay.
Great.
This is the
I'm
sure there were college superstars that were not in awe of Larry Bird or Michael Jordan, and they soon came to learn, they're great.
Yeah. They came into the league. They came into the league and dominated a bunch of cokeheads. Is what they did. That's the league they took over. Now, I'm not saying the WNBA has a coke problem that I know of.
How dare you, Jet?
But I wouldn't know one way or the other. I have no idea what she was walking into because I did not pay attention to the WNBA. Consider myself informed. And I'll go a step further. They're not only not in awe of Caitlin Clark, they are motivated to kick her ass.
Yes.
That's what I'm seeing early on. This is not just we're not in awe of her. This is we're going to run an extra body at her. We're going to make life miserable. She's not going to get a comfortable catch on the court. We're going to get in her airspace at all times. We're going to make life hell.
Yes.
But in doing that, They're making the viewer's life hell also.
And you know who else they're not in awe of? Any of the other players on the floor. It's the guitar.
Yeah.
Total attention to Caitlin Clark.
Who was the one? Dewana Bonner, the 5th all-time leading scorer?
Yeah, moved into 5th all-time.
Can Lindsey Schnell write a column about her? Because I've never heard of her. I really need to be educated
she probably
on Dewana
has.
Bonner.
She probably has.
I just haven't seen it.
Right.
I'll search her work. I'm sure she does a great job.
Oh.